Welcome back to another episode of Scryer's Room. I am your host, Fanfare.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Maureen.
And today we're going to start out with a shout out to our sponsor, Dubby. They're a sugar-free energy drink station in California, and they're leading the fight against big oil. So I want to start today's episode with my experience at NovaOpen.
Yeah, we missed the past 2 weeks of recording due to getting ready for this, going to it, and
then you were down with the plague, right?
And then I was briefly poisoned by my constituents, but yeah, we're doing good now.
I'm glad. Yeah, it's funny. We actually were. I was low-key panicking because that week was when Gundam Base entered the area, and so I was hoping he could be well enough to go.
Yes.
And he was well enough to go. Ironically, we arrived at a ill time because there was already 200 people in the line when we got there.
Yeah.
We did not arrive with nearly enough time.
More power to you, fellow Gundam enjoyers, but I wanted to get in and get my exclusive Gunpla because I am addicted to their plastic crack.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking that it'd be like quick in, quick out.
I know. I had the same thought where I was thinking that it would be, well, there'll be like 10, 15 other people there.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought Gundam wasn't extremely popular in the in the States here, but definitely dumb. Definitely dumb and incorrect.
Very foolish.
Yeah, not accurate at all. But so yeah, I went to NovaOpen this 2 weekends ago, and I did the duos for Age of Sigmar, and I did the GT, and let me tell you, that was an excellent time. I mean, I expected to have a good time, but it exceeded my expectations as far as, like, the venue was nice, the community was super welcoming and inviting. I mean, everyone was having a good time. Most people were fucking drunk,
It's a convention, of course.
Yeah, like, it was funny because by round 3 every day, like, half the opponents were just, like, fucking tipsy off their ass. And I thought, you know what, man, that's more power to you, man. You're having fun, having a good time. I'm too much of a tryhard to let her, like, I have to focus on the game.
My mind needs to be clean and clear.
Yeah.
Complete focus.
Well, because I get miffed at myself if I make stupid mistakes. Like, if I do something that I know I shouldn't have done, then I can get miffed over it. But I made it a point in the GT to be as good of an opponent as possible. And that, the way I see it, you really have two options. Sorry. Either your opponent can buy you a beer after the game is over, or not be able to look you in the eye. And I never wanted to be that second guy ever again. When we were at the duos, I went with my buddy Benson. I was still in, like, try hard, I want to win mode. And we got trounced every game. We didn't win a single
Didn't go
match.
well.
Yeah, it didn't go well at all. We didn't win a single game. We put all of our ducks for damage in my basket, or all of our eggs in my basket as far as damage went. So I was playing, to those of you listening, I'm a big Skaven fanboy, as we discussed in a previous episode. And I was rocking the Storm Fiends, the big old rat ogres with guns. I had a melee unit, and I had a ranged unit, and then I had 6 Jezzails, the Skaven sniper rifles, and an Arc Warlock to lead them. So I was playing brand gunline.
Yeah.
And Benson just had 3 tar pits, basically. And,
what army was he running?
Soulblight Gravelords, which are the modern version of vampire counts.
Oh.
So he had a Necromancer with, I think, 40 skeletons. It might have been 20. And then he had 20 skeletons and 10 skeletons, 2 units. And then he had a blob of 40 fucking zombies with this guy Gorslav, who basically can, like, bring back zombies like crazy. Mm. And then I think he had direwolves, which are just like giant undead wolves. Mm. And all 3 of those units are essentially tar pits. Well, the wolves not so much. They can do some damage, but they're only good if they have their support hero, which he didn't bring. Mm. So, like, his job was to be a wall of zombies and skeletons, and then I would shoot over their heads. And it was a perfect plan until it didn't work at all.
Right.
So come to find out, in a game where most of the damage happens in the combat phase, and we didn't have a combat phase,
that's not good.
We weren't doing a lot of damage. So it ended up going too well. A few of the games were close, but yeah, we didn't win a single one. And I wasn't miffed about it, but I was definitely in try-hard mode. I wasn't having as much of a good time as I could have been. Mm-hmm. I was, like, hyper-fixating on the fucking, the game and trying to, like, point out every little thing in detail. And so my head was too in the game, if that makes sense, to actually enjoy it.
Right, you were going too far into the L versus Light from Death Note.
Yeah, I'm over here like thinking 5D chess to no avail.
The music suddenly changes whenever it goes to your turn, and everything goes black, and you're only cast in like red or blue, depending on which side you're on at the moment.
It reminds you of the scene where he's eating chips, and it's like super dramatic.
Yeah.
Take a chip and eat it.
No, but I imagine that by like rolling my dice and just like slow-mo as they roll, and they hit the fucking dice tray and like scatter around dramatically.
If I angle my hand at 75 degrees.
I told you how Yu-Gi-Oh! Ended, right?
Oh my god.
So the original like run of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which Duel Masters, whatever, was like the final villain was Bakura, the white-haired kid that had the necklace.
Yeah, because he's possessed by it.
Yeah, he's possessed by another evil wizard from ancient Egypt. They're apparently ancient Egypt was fucking lousy with him. But the final game that they play is Bakura invites everybody to come play Dungeons and Dragons at his house, and as soon as they go in, they all get sucked into the game except for Bakura and like I don't know, I don't remember his real Yami, like whatever his real Egyptian name was, I don't remember, but you know who.
Isn't that a whole thing? They gotta go find it?
Yeah, but I don't fucking remember what happens in what order. I just know that this is the end because they end up falling into a stalemate because the evil god that's going to be released through their Dungeons and Dragons game that Bakura has been like the minion of this whole fucking time, they get into a stalemate because both of them can roll natural 20s at will.
That's just cheating.
Yeah, it actually specifically...
I love how much of Yu-Gi-Oh! is just cheating. Like,
well, I mean, all the Millennium items are different methods of cheating. That's the point of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, like, specifically, they each of them were, like... They figured out that if they roll it with a spin and then, like, bump the table with their knee, they can always get it to be a 20. And the problem with that is that it doesn't really matter if you can always get 20s if one of you actually has, like, a evil god on your side and one of you has... 4 teenagers without wizard powers.
Yeah, kind of a bad move.
You sort of get screwed on that one. The only way to win would be to roll above a 20.
Oh.
Leading to the climactic scene where Yami straight up, like, blasts the dice onto the table and it breaks in half, like right down the middle so that both 20 and 1 are facing up on the table.
Boo!
And he counted it. He was like, "You've bested me, evil like Egyptian pharaoh man! Damn you!" As that evil god is slurped back into, I guess, Egyptian hell.
The fuck, man?
Yeah.
I hate Yu-Gi-Oh! So much.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was wild.
What the fuck, man? I'd be so mad if someone tried to pull that shit on me.
I know.
One, poor dice. Like, the dice goblin in me is offended by you destroying a perfectly good pair of dice.
They also make it clear that, like, Bakura, their friend, like, the oh, hey, guys, like, the meek, like, white-haired kid, that kid's definitely real. He's just possessed. So that means after this, he's no longer possessed, but Yugi still definitely fucked his room up. Okay, everyone go home now, I guess.
That's fucking silly. But yeah, no, Nova was a great time. So yeah, I was super fucking Yami status with the fucking doubles. And Benson was having a good time, and we ended up getting dinner afterwards, and it was all fine.
Good.
And then the next day, I woke up because we stayed in a room at the hotel or whatever at the Hilton, and I woke up and I thought,
for some reason, no fucking luggage carriers. They don't do them anymore, and it really angered up my blood when we.
Ironically, when I was leaving, I saw luggage carriers. So I think that guy just lied to my fucking face. Maybe he meant they were out of them. I don't know, man. The guy had a pretty thick accent. I couldn't be bothered to fucking decide.
All that I know is that I hope he's crushed by luggage carriers.
We don't carry Warhammer luggage.
Yeah! Not for your ilk.
I know why you're here. I can see how fat you and your friend are. Go on, get over to the convention floor. We don't have any carriers for your luggage.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, I woke up and I was like, okay. I had a good time yesterday, but I could have had a better time. I didn't min-max my funness
at
this event. This is going to be my first GT. I've done duos before. I've done like RTs before, but I've never been to a grand tournament. This is NovaOpen. This is my first.
This is one of the big boy ones.
A big boy event. And so I decided, you know what? The best thing I can do is be a fun opponent, and that's all I'm going to do, baby. I don't care if I get trounced. I'm going to take my ass whooping like a man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a good time. And if my opponent is smiling, then I did a great job. So my first matchup was against this guy, Mike Fox. And he was an excellent opponent. We started off, we hit the ground running with good old Skaven versus Skaven violence, the best kind of violence. He was playing Pestilence. I was playing a Claw Horde, so mostly Verminous. I insisted, to those who know Warhammer well, I insist on running 40 Storm Vermin. I will not be bothered to do anything less than that. I have one unit that's pretty bare bones, not a lot of conversions going on, they're just silver. And then I have a unit that all of them have Zangor horns, except one whose name is Moose, because I ran out.
Yeah.
And he's a special boy.
So he got moose horns.
Yeah, he got
antlers, I guess.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference. So I was running those. A very close game, very good game, very fun game. But he ended up pulling off the victory. But dude, he was an excellent opponent. So we really had the ground running and kind of set the standard for the rest of the event. The first thing he does is give me a little like green crystal, like a little warpstone rock, and he's like, "Yeah, to remember me by." And I was like, "Oh, bae." And I put it in my dice tray every single game after that as a good luck charm. And it worked. I was rolling fucking hot for a lot of these games. It was nice. So I ended up losing that game.
The horned rat smiles on you.
Oh, he do. Big old 13. So lost my first game, and then we go for lunch or whatever, and I have like complete shit service in the venue. It's basically a dead zone in there,
right?
But they had free Wi-Fi, but I put the password in wrong, I guess, so I didn't have Wi-Fi for the first 2 days, and I was like, man, this Wi-Fi fucking sucks. But I just didn't have it.
This hotel fucking sucks. They don't have luggage carriers for my kind. They don't have Wi-Fi.
I love how you say my kind and like someone like.
It sounds racial, but really it's in a way worse.
Yeah, just big old fat nerds, man.
Yeah.
They can't have us. They can't be having us.
And by worse, I mean that we're worse than every race.
Yeah.
You did mention an individual who had cultivated a smell.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
that's what everyone thinks every Warhammer player is like, but no, those are just. He gives everyone else a
They're
bad
outliers. No one thinks about the outliers.
Yeah, okay, so I am pretty anti-bullying. I believe in razzing people, I believe in teasing.
But those are aspects of friendliness.
Yeah, the second it stops being mutual, if they're not laughing at it too, then I back off.
Right.
But there are certain things, because there's a difference between bullying someone because you're an asshole and society correcting itself.
Yeah.
And let me fucking tell you, you should bully every smelly bastard there is until they fucking bathe themselves. I'm sure some people have socioeconomic problems to where they can't afford hygiene products to a certain caliber, but Speed Stick is very fucking cheap. You can afford to have deodorant. You can afford to take a goddamn bath. You do not need to smell like that in a goddamn public venue. So yeah, one of the first things that happened to me going up the elevator to the broom was I smelled the most foul, rancid nerd's ass crack that I had smelled in many fucking moons. It was bad.
Goodness.
I could taste it.
Oh.
It was so pungent.
It was invasive.
It was invasive. It was offensive. It was oppressive. This man smelled so fucking bad. And a glass half full, he smelled so bad that I couldn't even register anyone else's odor for the rest of the goddamn week. The rest of the weekend, it was just fine. I'm sure some people smelled like ass crack. I wouldn't know. They didn't smell as bad as that guy. Anyway.
It's like those guys who do the polar plunge. They jump into like the ice cold water, then they get out and they're like, actually, I'm not that cold out of the water.
Yeah, because they've already shocked their body into fucking acclimating. Yeah. Fucking crazy. But yeah, no, so that happens. We go to lunch, and I'm waiting for my next opponent. I have no fucking Wi-Fi, so it's hard for me to pull up my match. Mm-hmm. And I see I have a fucking DM from the Discord chat I'm in with a few buddies, Benson included. Mm. And I go to check it, and he says, "What are the fucking odds?" And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I have a hunch I know what it means.
Oh, no.
But I don't want to tell myself, because I'm like, there's no way. There are over 180 people at this event. There is no fucking
The odds
way.
are actually not very likely.
Yeah, extremely unlikely, and yet it happened. I'm fighting Benson. I'm fighting my roommate. like that round 2, and like I got to do it to him. Like,
yeah, you gotta. You wouldn't dishonor our friendship by holding back, would you?
Literally my mentality. Like the only way you're gonna get better at the game is by playing a better opponent. And I'm not saying I'm better, but I definitely had more experience. I've been playing games like I played about 2 or 3 games a week for the last 2 or 3 weeks in preparation for that. I had honed my list. I had figured out what I wanted to play. He hadn't played 4th Ed until the duos, so he really didn't know what he was doing as far as like how to build and like what to do. But like he's a good player. Like he's not, he knows what he knows his armies well. His main army is OCR Bone Reapers, which are like basically a bunch of skeleton construct boys.
Hell yeah!
But he liked how Soulblight looked better, and there's a model like Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, and the named character is Prince Vordry. And he fucking slapped.
That sounds pretty cool.
He is pretty fucking cool. And so he wanted to run him, and he did. So we ended up playing, and like I ended up coming out on top on that one. Mostly, he made a few mistakes, and I was quick to capitalize on. I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to do this. And I don't think he understood how ridiculous Stormvermin were, because I was running different units in duos. But I had 2 blobs of just murder monster boys. They're glass cannons. They die to a stiff breeze, but if they're full strength and they charge something, that thing is probably dead. They're pretty fucking strong right now. So I ended up winning that game, and I was like, that felt pretty good. I got a winner under my belt. I wonder how the next game will go. And I ended up fighting Night Haunt. So, my beautiful listeners, to those who are unacquainted right now, every time Warhammer does an index update, or they really overhaul how the game works, they have to redo everything at once. The old codexes and old books won't work.
Right.
They index the game. This happened in 8th edition, and this happened again in 10th edition for Warhammer 40,000. And this happened for the first time in Age of Sigmar for 4th edition. The game is so fundamentally different now that they had to index and change all of the war scrolls at once, all the units at once, to be able to balance them and make them make sense. And every time they do an index, there's going to be some things that fall through the cracks as far as balancing goes. So I think 4th edition is the best edition they've made. It's the funnest I've had. It's the most engaging. It's really great. But there are a few armies that are a bit too strong right now, and one of them happens to be Night Haunt. Last I checked, they had a 65% win ratio,
Good Lord.
which was down from 70%. They would win basically every game they played because of how fucking bonkers they are. They have a bunch of free shit that no one else gets. They can run and charge. They are immune to rend. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit going on that they just have, and it makes them come out on the top more often than not. The biggest thing that fucks them over is the sheer number of little itty-bitty attacks, which, ironically, I have. But I just didn't know what I was looking at, so I get matched up against Night Haunt for my 3rd game. I'm pretty sure this man already, won all of his games, too. So I'm sitting here like, alright, well, I'm going to take my ass from like a man, dude. I don't know what I'm fighting, but I know how bad it's going to be. I've heard all the rumors. And originally I thought, well, it can't be that bad, man. I'll just see for myself. And, he's, explaining to me his list and all, the horrible shenanigans he can do to me. And that I should be clenching my sphincter. But, I've already been playing Warhammer for 6 hours. So my brain is already kind of
Right, you're not capable of fear at that point.
I'm not capable of processing fear. It's like the difference between courage and stupidity. I wasn't the latter, dude. I wasn't brave, I was dumb. I couldn't even process what he was telling me.
You were at the point where it was the scene from Family Guy where it's like, you can't fight him, Rock! There's no oxygen on Mars! There's no oxygen for him neither.
Yes, I got 100% empty, I had no thoughts mode. And up until this point, I kept hearing folks say, dude, you always want to go second. It's better to go second so you can pawn out the double turn when you need it. And, I checked my stats recently. I win most of my games where I go first because I'm a very aggressive player, and I like to make it to where my opponent has to respond to me. I don't like to have to respond to my opponent, so I prefer to go first. I could be a cuck for this, but that's 100% how it was. But I took the advice of the graybeards before me, and I thought, well, it's big boy mode here. I'm going to be getting trounced, so I better play it safe.
This guy is so confident he warned me.
Yeah. So I was like, I better play it safe. I think I'm going to go second.
They don't even do that shit in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, no, Goku just lets you do your shit. He doesn't warn you, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to go second. I won priority. I'm going to go second. Biggest mistake of my Warhammer career.
Oh, man.
It was, it was... To the 40k players out there, it was the equivalent of playing Eldar or Drakari and letting the Imperial Guard player go first with his gunline and tanks. Like, why would you do that, Tony, you stupid bastard? So I have my cute little formation up, and I leave a gap in my screens, not intentionally, but just I kind of messed up my deployment. I wanted to tag all the objectives. So there was a pretty sizable gap in my screening units to my gunline in the back. Don't you know that between moving 14 inches, being able to fly, being able to run and charge, and being able to reroll those charges, his entire army was in my face turn 1. He took all the objectives that I tagged at the beginning of the game turn 1. It was fucking bonkers. I had never seen an army with that much mobility and that much of get some mode going. I've never seen that before. I didn't know it was possible. Granted, he literally told me. He literally told me he could do all of this, but my dumb, empty fucking head did not register any of it, so I'm sitting there with my jaw gaped like, wow, he's really in my shit, ain't he? And I got fucking trounced. I think I scored like 8 points that game. Something out of 50, by the way. Like, I got a measly, terrible score. And but I took my ass like a man. And Joshua, if you're out there, you were an excellent opponent. And he also said that I was his favorite opponent that day. So I'm proud that I was able to be fun and engaging and joyous, despite getting bent over a fucking barrel.
Absolutely demolished.
Got fucking trounced, man.
I mean, conceivably,
No
could we like look up like how everybody did, like their placement and everything?
Yeah, I have a whole placement list thing. So I don't fully understand like how the scoring works. I think it's because they track the people you beat. They wager against how well they did to give you points. So I ranked like 103. And there were people who didn't even play all their games that ranked above me, despite I earned more points and had a better score.
You actually played more games.
Yeah, so I had a better score, but I think my ranking is lower because they beat people who did better.
Right.
So I beat people mostly who all got trounced as well. So it doesn't speak as much to my victories because I'm like winning against people who are also novices. And that sounds more offensive than I want it to be. Maybe they're excellent players, it was luck of the draw, but you know what I mean. Like, the people that I beat didn't do too well. Right. So yeah, I got my ass kicked. Took it like a man. Was laughing, smiling, had a great time. And then, we went to bed for the evening. I think we got dinner somewhere. I think we ordered pizza. We ordered pizza that night.
Hell yeah.
Easy. Watched Benson play that new Valve Overwatch they're making. It's just a MOBA, but it's a shooter MOBA. I forget what it's called, man.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, it was like an hidden secret early access thing, and they literally had like NDLs NDAs of like, yeah, don't stream this or we'll hunt you down and get you like a fish.
Right.
But it finally finally let up, so he was like playing it with this new waifu. She's a gorgeous woman, by the way. Definitely a good match.
Very fun lady.
Yeah, very fun lady. And so we were doing that, and then the next day we start bright and early. And I forgot to mention. So when duos happened, as they were setting up, all the event folks that are helping out were so swamped and haggard, I felt terrible for them. And I was watching them scramble to get all the tables set up and whatnot. So I vowed, like, okay, well, come Friday, I'm going to get up extra early, bring my display board down, make sure everything's set up. Because I hate being rushed.
Right.
I really like to have all my ducks in order before I do anything. Otherwise, I get overstimulated and I can freak out. So I got up bright and early, brought my display board down, and I told James O'Brien, who was the big guy running it, I told him, hey man, I got hands if you guys need hands. Like, I saw how bad it was yesterday.
Yeah. And
he was like, okay, cool, sure. And then one of the other gentlemen was scrambling to get the table set up, and I was like, dude, I got hands, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And so he instantly delegated some stuff to me, and the thing I was trying to make a point to do is make sure every table was even. I wanted as many identical layouts as possible, and as many, I wanted no ambiguity and shit. I made sure I went back, probably, spent 20 plus minutes just putting down these, mouse pad kind of looking terrain things to mark the footprint of the ruin areas, because otherwise it's just, a piece of terrain you just have to suss out if you're in cover or not. Well, if you put the thing down, there's no ambiguity.
Yeah, that is the cover.
Yeah, this is the footprint of the cover. So I tried to make sure every single fucking mat had 2 of those in equal spots, because years ago I was playing at an RT for Warhammer 40,000 over at the Guild before it moved, and one of the tables basically had no cover. It was like a bunk table. Out of 6 tables, All of them were great with terrain and like you could hide things in line of sight and yada yada yada. Except this one table there was nothing. There was nowhere to hide. So whoever went first is probably going to win in a game about shooting.
Yeah.
You can't hide anything, so it's kind of over. And every single person who played on that table had a bad time. They felt like they got cheated. They felt like they got robbed. They paid for games that were shit. And that really stuck with me about, like, you really want every table to be fun and engaging, or at very least balanced. Like, you want them... You should never be a table you feel like you got cheated on. And so I really took that to heart and tried to make that a reality. And so I helped out earlier, and we're going to get back to why that matters in a second here. So we're in day 2. Start off with my first game. I believe I played Fire Slayers. I don't remember the gentleman's name. But that was basically a bunch of rats in buckets trying to fight, like, literal slayers from Warhammer. Like, these fucking fiery, crested, chiseled Giga Chad dwarves with axes. I was punching up for sure, man. Like, it was going well.
Essentially a bunch of roided out Scottish hooligans with axes.
Yeah, who hate rats. They hate them.
There's one thing they hate more than anything, and it's rats!
It is. It was. And I was doing pretty well at first. I was like, I got this. I'll be alright. And then, no, it went south quick. There were so many beardy midgets, man. It was bad. So I just couldn't kill them all, and then they ended up killing my ass. So lost that. Wasn't like a complete rout, but lost pretty handedly. And then my next game was against Soulblight again. And I had previously beaten Benson with Soulblight, so I felt pretty confident about this one. I was like, alright, hell yeah, man. I believe my opponent's name was Jeremy. And he was, I enjoy the hobby aspect of the game, like, a lot. Mm-hmm. But I also try to play competent lists. This man literally expressed the opposite. He was like, I hate building and painting, man. He had a pretty deep southern accent. The guy was fucking hilarious. He was a really cool guy. He was like, dude, I fucking hate playing and building, man. Or I hate painting and building, man. I just want to play the game. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I fucking respect that.
That's fair, yeah.
It is a fun game, and this is the funnest version, so I respect that. So, yeah, we're playing, and it's going back and forth, and I'm doing pretty well. Like, I'm pretty sure victory is at hand. I went first, like, because like I said, I learned from the Nighthawk thing. Like, I usually do well when I go first. So I'm winning pretty handedly, or rather, it's even, and it looks like I can seize the victory. I'm about to kill his, like, he has, Manfred, who's like a special vampire on this like bone dragon thing.
Oh, I remember Manny.
Oh yeah, good old Manny of the night.
Yeah.
And I almost have him dead, and it's like, okay, well, next round I pop one of the Jezzails, my snipers, he's gone, and then this is gonna be a rout. I killed Belladama Volga with my Storm Merman, and neither of us thought it was gonna happen, but he whiffed all of his shrug saves, and yeah, I brought that bitch down. So that was like, okay, well, this might be a rout then, because I'm going to start fucking trouncing through him. And then he got the double turn. And...
always able to real quick turn the tide.
Age of Sigmar is a very fun game, and I very much enjoy it, but I have always had issues with the double turn. I understand why it exists. I understand people like it. I personally do not enjoy it. And this is one of those instances where it definitely worked out of my favor.
For anyone who doesn't know what the double turn is,
yeah, you can so every round, so the game is broken down into a battle round starts, and then the first player goes, the second player goes.
Right.
But every battle round after the first round, you roll for priority, and you roll a d6, and whoever wins that roll off gets priority and gets to choose the turn order. So if it's a tie, it's always the person who went first the first time gets to choose priority. But if the person who went second wins, they can just choose to go again. Yeah. So they're taking 2 turns in a row. The coveted double turn.
Yes.
It pisses 40k players off to no end. Most of them can't stomach Age of Sigmar because of it. Their loss. I find it to be a funner game, personally. But I too, hate the double turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up getting the double turn, and instead of my Jezzails pumping through Manfred like he's fucking Swiss cheese... he does the hunger and heals for a shit ton, and they rout me. He sweeps through me. That's all she wrote. So we end up, talking out the game in the last few minutes, and I lost that one too. But once again, it was fun. It was a good time, and my opponent was entertained. And that's what fucking matters. So much so he bought me a beer at the end. I actually have the can on my shelf there. Nova had its own little lager. So that was fucking sweet. As like a cool little like space.
We're not going to bring it over here because it's going to be very clangy around the microphones. But yeah, you guys should look them up. That's what it says.
Yeah, Justin knew what the brewery was. I don't remember It's like all fancy written, but no, definitely tasty beer, man. I quite enjoyed it. He's pouring it up right now.
Nova Light Lager from, I think it's Vasson?
Yeah, I think Vasson. Yeah,
Vasson Brewing Company.
Yeah, delicious beer. And even better because my opponent bought it for me. And like I said, literally, I made the joke of like, there's two outcomes, man. Either my opponent wants to buy me a beer, or he can't look me in the eye. And this man literally bought me a beer, so I did well. And so that happens, and so that ends the placement games. So when I first went to Nova, I misunderstood how GTs worked at all. I didn't understand like what placement was and how all that worked. I was under the impression you play 5 games, and if you don't completely suck, you get to go into the finals.
Right, it's more of a qualifier than a...
Yeah, but what really happens is you enter brackets based on how you did, and then those brackets split up and play 3 more games for like the finals, which is a great system. I get all the games I paid for. I literally thought I paid for 8 games, I only get 5. Which I was okay with. Honestly, I had a great time, but it was cool to figure out that's how it worked. And I go into my first game of the bracket, and my opponent was the opposite of my previous opponent. He was in it for the hobby. He had not really played 4th Ed at all until Nova. So my man, pretty green as grass as far as like orders and activations and like stuff you're supposed to be able to do. So like, I'm not proving anyone to anyone, having lost 4 games out of 5.
Yeah. So
like, I'm not gonna sit here and go, I have to salvage it. No. So I sat there and I basically like talked it out with him and really tried to work with him to be like, okay, well this is the smartest thing you can do against me right now, and just gave him suggestions like, well, this is the best, in my opinion, this is the best move, or a move you could do that would be good. The big one that we discussed a lot was rally, the rally command. So in your hero phase, you can like pick a unit to rally and spend a command point, and then you roll 66, 7 if the unit has a musician, and for each 4 up, you return a wound to that unit, or a slain model equal to its wound characteristic. So for single wound units, you can bring up the 7 dudes back, which is pretty substantial. Most units are 10 guys, 20 guys if you have to reinforce them. So being able to bring like a fucking 4th of them back is pretty big. So talking about that a lot and just really guiding him through like what the smartest options would be, but not telling him how to play, just giving him honest like advice like, hey, if I were you, this is what I would do. And
these are the kind of things that I would prioritize with your army at this point.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, a lot of what you're supposed to do is pretty obvious when you know the game. The only variable is the dice. You can still roll all ones. There are a lot of times where it's a foregone conclusion, but then you really roll all ones, and now it's anyone's game again. Like, it's, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Math says that wouldn't happen, yet here we are.
It's what makes this not just rock, paper, scissors.
Exactly. I always joke that, like, it's a kosher way to gamble because you're filling the same niche in your brain as gambling without actually throwing away money too poorly, because it is a very expensive hobby to get into. So you are pissing money away, but at least it's consistent and you know exactly where the money is going.
And you can point to it afterwards.
Yeah, you get pretty little display models.
Yeah.
I got my Skaven on my shelf now. They look all nice. I'm very happy with that.
Whereas gambling, all you have afterwards is the knowledge that if you'd stayed for a little bit longer, you could have turned it all around.
Yeah.
Please don't gamble, people. It's a terrible addiction, and
I don't like it personally. I understand why people do it.
It's a real fun joke, though.
For sure.
Stan, all right?
All right.
Can't stop when you're on a streak, okay?
You only won one round.
That's one of my favorite
all right.
episodes, man.
Okay, Stan.
Oh my god. But yeah, so I ended up winning that game, but it's pretty close considering, like, because I helped him out, made him, tried to make the smart decisions. So I ended up winning that game despite helping out my opponent. That felt pretty good. Like, I didn't hand him the victory. So then that was the last game of that day, and basically everyone that I came to the event with that I knew, like, fucked off after round 5. They're like, I got my games in, I got my score in.
Yeah,
I'm good, man. I'm headed out. So Benson ended up driving back to Ohio. My buddy Jeff, I met him at the game store down in Fredericksburg, Game Garrison. He ended up leaving he was playing the Giant Sons of Behemoth. So he ended up leaving. So I'm basically stranded on an island. But like, I'm like, you know what, man? Benson paid for one more night for the room. I split the bill with him, but
right.
We still have the room for one more night. I think I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay and get my last 2 games in. I paid for the games. So, I end up sleeping, getting up early. I take my fucking, my bag out of the room and hide it under one of the tables, under the tablecloth, so that because checkout's at 11, so game goes till 5. So, I ended up living on a prayer at that point. I was sure it would be fine, but, you never know these things.
Not for nothing, the Warhammer tournament crowd who actually plays in the finals, they don't strike me as sticky-fingered regarding random luggage.
Yeah, it was fine.
If they're going to steal, their addiction is much more expensive than your shirts can buy.
Exactly. So I ended up playing my last 2 games. My first game of that day was against Iron Jaws. I believe my opponent's name was Caleb. I might be getting that wrong. My bad if you're listening to this. And that was a closer game than I thought. It was the opposite of the Soul Black game, where I was like, oh man, I'm going to get steamrolled by a bunch of angry orcs. They are coming, and there's very little I can do to stop them. Holy shit.
But you ended up winning?
I ended up winning because so Skaven in this edition have never played more like rat bastards than they've ever played before. I think the original big rat bastard mechanic was that in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, when units were locked in melee with each other, you can't shoot into that unit. Skaven had a rule called Life is Cheap, where you could, but some of the shots will hit your dudes.
Right.
You don't care, you're a rat bastard. So that was probably the pinnacle of rat bastardry for them. But in Age of Sigmar 4th Ed, they gave us so many little rat bastard moves you can do that just subtly fuck over your opponent, and is just a complete fucking headache to deal with. Namely, at the beginning of the turn order is broken down into phases, and the top of the turn is the hero phase. The hero phase is where you can do rally, or you do your wizard spells, or you do certain orders or commands or heal. There's certain things you can do in that phase. So immediately following that phase is the movement phase. And so one of the things that Skaven can do in your opponent's hero phase is a rat bastard move called Always 3 Claw Steps Ahead, where I can pick one of my monster units and move them 6 inches in my opponent's hero phase, out of sequence. And I took a unit called the Vermin Lord Warpseer. He's a big old rat demon wizard boy, and he gives me +2 to this. So I can move a non-monster unit farther than its actual movement characteristic at the end of my opponent's hero phase. And considering a big part of the game is taking and holding objectives, like having more models on an objective than your opponent, and you can't move within 3 inches of an enemy unit without being in combat with them or charging, you can body block the fuck out of people with 3 claw steps ahead.
Right.
And so
just immediately move into the way.
Yeah, you're just now in the way. They pick. What's up?
They're quick while they're not looking. Just scrabble up real quick.
Dude, it's so good. It's such a rat bastard move. So many people don't put respect on it because on paper it's okay, yeah, whatever. But dude, the amount of so one of the ways you get points is these things called battle tactics, and at the beginning of your turn you pick a battle tactic to do, and it's basically something like, okay, I have to take 2 objectives that I didn't control, and one of them had to be controlled by my opponent. Okay, so they pick that, and then at the top of their turn, and then they do their hero phase, and then I move my guys in a way that you can no longer do that, get fucked. And I did that twice against the Iron Jaws player. He picked his little tactic or whatever, and it was a good sound move. And then I was like, actually, no.
Unfortunately, these tricky rat men are very good at they're good ruiners.
Yeah, you're just upsetting your opponent's machinations with your own little rat bastard moves of your own. And it was just spectacular, man. I never felt like more of a cheeky little rat monster boy than I played at that tournament. The amount of even when I was losing, I still felt like a real rat bastard, just upsetting my opponent so that he can't get max score because I did some sneaky rat shit where I just teleported a guy somewhere or whatever have you. So definitely fun game. I ended up winning that one. It became a rout, but at first it looking like he was going to rout me, but then all of his shit was in the middle in this big old mosh pit that we set up, and he wiped through one of my units of Stormvermin, and then he surrounded my Warpseer, and I just skitter leaped out of there. Skitter leap being a global teleport. I can just bamf and just leave. And so all of his guys, his slow ass orcs, were stuck in the middle where I slowly picked them to pieces by surrounding them. It felt like I had planned that all along. I didn't plan that all along, but it felt like I did, and it felt really good. So I ended up winning that game. It was pretty close, though. And then,
no, that's in true Skaven fashion. I totally planned that.
Yo, exactly.
My plan was so incredible, even I didn't know how perfect it was.
I'm a genius.
My genius blinds me to the reality of the situation in ways that ironically work out for me. Blessed be the horned rat.
Blessed be the horned rat. No, that was an excellent game, very fun. And then my third game, my last game of my bracket, I am playing this gentleman named Scott. He had the same energy I brought. He was like, dude, I'm here to have a good time and roll dice. So I was like, fuck yeah, brother. Yeah. He's like chatting. Apparently he knew like every fucking person at the venue because he's chatting up everyone who like walks by, I feel like. Like every person walks by, he's go, hey, fuckface. And he's like talking to him. Hey, how you doing? How's your games going? And like I was like, man, this guy's a man's man for nerds. And
he's a slut. He knew everyone there. He's a filthy gamer slut.
That got me. That fucking got me. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. But yeah. Ironically enough, and this I guess is this karma. He did the thing I did my first game of the bracket, where he basically told me how to beat him. He kept pointing out like mistakes I was making. Because after 6 hours of games, your brain is kind of fucking fried.
Yeah.
And I'm ADHD to begin with, so, like, I'll see something and just do it even though I know that's not the proper... Like, I would know that's not the proper sequence of things if I had taken a second to breathe, but I'm in full all cylinders firing, full tilt mode, empty head, no thoughts, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just made a lot of mistakes, and he pointed out, and I was like, oh, you're right. I don't want to do that. And then I did something else, and I ended up winning that game... Not super handedly, but I think I got the most points in that game out of any other game I played. I got all my tactics. I did I scored pretty handedly and pretty well. And I stayed for the reward ceremony, and we're handing out accolades and handing out rewards. And there's like the first set of rewards they hand out are basically like mentions, honorable mentions, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting one for helping hands.
Oh.
Because of my efforts in the first day of setting up the tables and being like ready and available and being like, we got it. I know you guys are fucking swamped right now, so let me help out. Yeah, they recognized and acknowledged that, and I got a little award for it.
That's nice.
And I was super happy. Yeah, I started crying. I had to hide it, but I was fucking in tears. I was so touched. And then also, don't you know, I ended up winning my bracket. So I technically went 4-4 at Nova. Mm-hmm. The last 3 games I played were all victories, and I ended up winning my bracket. So, for my first GT, very happy, very pleased, very satisfied. It was a great time.
The only question I have is, what does winning your bracket mean?
I got a little, trophy token thingy. So of the brackets we broke into, I'm the champion of that one. So, of bracket 5, right. I won.
It wasn't like one massive bracket that... Yeah.
Yeah, I think bracket 1 is 3 people, the top 3 guys.
This isn't a Dragon Ball Z tournament, yes.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Gotcha.
I the top 3 guys is bracket 1, and they're just duking it out for supremacy. And then there's bracket 2, who are the people who are just under them, and it keeps going down. So I was bracket 5, so I'm not anything big dick or anything like that, but it was still nice, it was still pleasant.
Yeah.
And I got a cute little coin of the salamander on him. Not the space marine, but an actual fire salamander.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's pretty nice. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going back next year, but this time I'm going to volunteer because I want to put my money where my mouth is with helping hands and help give back. So that'll be good.
Yeah. Speaking of Space Marines, the Salamanders.
Oh man. Okay. So Space Marine 2 just dropped.
Space Marine 2 has come out, and it's my understanding that it is tearing ass through the market. People really like it.
Yeah, people are fucking stoked, man.
Yeah, actually, my buddy Seaton, who just moved to England pretty recently.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea he knew anything about... Maybe he doesn't actually know anything about Warhammer, but I just saw in my PlayStation Friends thing, he's the only other person right now in my friend thing that owns the game. And I was just like, huh. Never would have pegged him as the sort, but...
You were not the one I was expecting to see that.
Yeah, or... It very well could be the case that he's just cool new hot game and just bought it. But
well, to be fair, they're stationed in the UK, so I feel like the IP is probably more popular over there than it is even here. But I don't know that for a fact.
Speaking of the various areas over there, I don't know where this man specifically was. So a couple of nights ago, I was driving for Uber, and one of the guys that I picked him up evidently from like a D&D game. It's probably around our age, like 30s or whatever. English. I'm guessing maybe some level of ADHD autistic, like we all are. But this man had a level of excitement about like the 50th anniversary of D&D. He was basically speaking to me like he was a live action ad for the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. He was very excited about it.
Was he like in a deadpan monotone, or was he like an excited voice?
Excited but tempered, like he was a fucking ad.
Oh,
Not like it's the 50th anniversary, more like it's the 50th anniversary. He did it with an English accent that I'm not going to attempt now because I don't want to disrespect this guy.
And Uber driver, do you know what my favorite part?
Yeah. Exactly. I don't want to do that. That's a cool, excitable man.
To all my friends in the UK, I love you. I love you all.
It's just, I like to make, when it's not about a specific person, I like to make jokes about any demographic. They're always fun to do. Sometimes I get in trouble for it, which is sometimes correct.
Well, funnily enough, when the fighting ordinance edict was still something that was enforceable, that was one of the caveats. Are you attacking someone specifically,
right,
or are you just throwing shade in general?
Right.
Because if you're throwing shade in general, no one can be mad about that. But if you're specifically targeting that guy, I'm being mean to that guy.
Right. Are you talking to that guy, or are you just saying that you would never live in Scotland, it's too wet, it's a garbage country?
Yeah. A Scotsman can't punch you in the face and get away with it. But if you say, Hamish, you piece of shit, why do you live in that cold-ass barren wasteland?
The reason that you're worse than me in every way, intrinsically, is because you're from this land that's too wet, I would never live in. And then you could fight him. Yeah,
then that counts as the first blow struck in the fighting words doctrine. So I always thought that was hilarious. But, Space Marine 2. I have fond memories of playing Space Marine 1. I very much enjoyed that game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see that Space Marine 2 is getting so much clout and like recognition and acceptance. So you haven't played it yet, Mario, you said?
No, I'm holding off because I'd already started Sekiro. Because I beat Radon.
He did it! Yay!
Finally. And then...
how long ago did you beat Radon?
About 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I was going to say, we've been off for 2 weeks before this. So did you just beat him, or did you beat him a while ago and I shouldn't razz you about it?
This is a little bit ago.
Yeah.
It took me way too long, though. Literally, I probably spent like 40 to 50 hours just in attempts.
That's fucking crazy. I can't play Souls games for that.
Are you including not just the attempts, but also when you realized you needed to go back and do different stuff?
No, that's just straight.
Just raw attempts?
Just attempts.
I think you might, like, have a brain tumor. That's insane.
It's called dedication, right, Kevin? Okay?
I do not get it.
Yeah, dude, I can't, man. I can't.
Actually, I don't have any room to talk. I've spent actual days of, like, Kevin, what did you do today? Oh, I was breeding Ella kids so that I could get one so I could make my Electivire really,
see, there you go.
really good. But also I needed to not just make it really good, which it was only a chance that I could make it perfect on this breed. I also needed to breed it with this one specifically because I want him to be in an Ultra Ball instead of a Pokeball.
Oh, man.
Because they can inherit the Pokeball. So not only was I doing it for battle recognition, it was also for nonsense. And then after a week, I'd be like, all right, now I have basically the same Electivire.
See, there you go. That's the foil. I don't get that. You don't get me spending 50 hours on a single boss.
I take it all back.
That's how it goes, man.
I was tempted to start playing today before I came over, but I was like, can't do that. And I haven't played the first one, but I know a little bit about it. And I really want to play the first one because you fight orcs. And that's my jam.
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have a physical copy, or was it only digital?
I have a digital on my PS3. Yeah.
If you want to
borrow it, you got to find a controller that works. If you plug in a PS4 controller, they work. So
okay, but I do know one of the few things I know about the first game is how the war boss is just fucking awesome, and he has that amazing line of when the fucking Demon Prince shows up and is just like, huh, and just blasts him with some fucking chaos shit, and he goes down, and then him and Titus, like, I don't know if you fight him or something or whatever, but then the war boss gets back up, and the Demon Prince is just like, what the fuck? And he's just like, I ain't that easy to kill, and then he just tackles him through the fucking warp portal.
Yup.
Just because he's just...
Hey, Bat-Dad!
He's just too...
I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah. Sometimes a war boss is just too fucking crunk. Like, you can't take him out that easy. Like, orcs are just too hardy.
There has never been, like, a piece of Warhammer fiction, 40k and fantasy, where the war boss didn't do some crazy-ass shit.
Yeah, that's why they put him in there.
Yeah, dude, it's so fun. Like, I was reading, this book about the Knights of the Blazing Sun in Warhammer Fantasy, and, like, the opening scene is a bunch of orcs trancing around, Hawksland or whatever, and so they got some knights to go rout them. And it weren't that easy. It's never that easy.
No.
The war boss is so big that he has a tower on his back with 3 night goblins with bows, just shooting, and that fucking killed me. Like that. Like what a Giga Chad motherfucker walking. He's his own tower. He's his own siege tower.
Yeah, like that's it's like one of my favorite scenes from the book War Boss is through shenanigans, a Gargant head falls on the war boss of this current WA, and then the way the narrator describes it is that they gave him an appropriate amount of time to prove that he wasn't dead. Like, so all the orcs sat around waiting for him to just like tear his way out of the Gargant head.
Before it'll happen again.
Yeah, and they're just like, and only after they gave it a moment, they're just like, I guess he is dead. Like,
that's so good.
And then they immediately start vying for power.
Yes.
Would people be cool with a Warhammer army that, like, the generals are the Monstars from Space Jam, and your war boss has a power basketball?
He's dunking on fools.
And just chaos dunk smashing the basketball into the top of their head and pushing it into their chest.
I mean, if any faction would do that, it'd be orcs.
Yeah, it would, 100%. I wouldn't turn my opponent away. If anything, I'd applaud him.
Fucking
shit. If we play another 40k game, I might have to be a basketball orc just for.
You got to think about a good orc pun for Charles Barkley.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, that's a doozy. Yeah, we got to brew on that.
Orkley's right there. That's fine. But I need to do something better than just Charles.
Yeah.
Charles Oakley.
Charles Oakley.
It's too easy. It's too easy. It's so good. Oh man, I don't know enough about Charles Barkley to make him a convincing character, but the bones are there.
Yeah,
the bones are all there. Playing fucking Steve Irwin, Reeve Irquin. And just fucking wrangling everything I got my hands on. Like,
that's a good move.
I wrangled that Chaos Marine impossibly.
Yeah.
Cody was so angry. This Noise Marine is like the fucking veteran of 1,000 campaigns since the Long War against the Imperium, and a stupid boy with moxie wrangled his ass.
Yeah, then we all just chopped him until he died.
Except for me, because I was playing a character that, in spite of the fact he wasn't built wrong, normally things happen that are like, oh, that's so crazy, Kevin, and it's because I built wrong. I didn't know what I was doing, and I got silly, didn't I? This time, I didn't build him wrong. It was just the dice were so against me that the only time that I did damage, I was either hitting someone in our own party, or I hit this Chaos Space Marine once, and then he immediately decapitated me with a guitar.
I thought your head blew off.
Oh, he blew off my head. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was a Noise Marine. Yeah, he played a power chord.
He played a power chord. My head popped like a grape. And then he just got wrestled to the ground.
He really fucking did.
We saved you.
Yeah, well, obviously getting your head popped isn't necessarily something that takes out an orc.
Yeah, we just stitched you onto that fucking admech that was pretending to be an orc the whole time.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Like, Brody made it almost like clear to us that was the case, but the joke was that we're all stupid boys, so we just didn't pick up that he was in vogue.
Yeah, that he was in not even really disguise, more of a cardboard cereal box mask situation.
God, what a good campaign. Orc piece was fun. We had to find the orc piece.
Yeah, Space Marine. The other fun thing I know about Space Marine is he's also the main character. Titus is also the main character of Bolt Gun.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so that's just the THQ Simp Boy then, huh?
I think his whole squad is like the video game's main character squad.
I could see that, because originally it was the Blood Ravens, who were just like, they called them the Blood Magpies, because they basically stole lore from all the other chapters and gave it to them. But they were like basically not Blood Angels, like a little darker red. And that was the Dawn of War chapter. That was like all the Dawn of War stuff was based around the Blood Ravens, and Gabriel Angelos was their chapter master. But then all the stuff for Space Marine, the video game, is all Ultramarines.
Yeah. The
Super Smurfs. And yeah, I think you're right. Apparently all the fucking Super Smurf stuff, according to between you two, it's all Titus and his boys.
Yeah.
But, spoilers, End of Space Marine, it's a meme because, like, Titus, like, saves Scryer, defeats an Orquois, and slaughters a demon prince, and one of the guys you brought with you has the Inquisition arrest you for heresy. That's how the game ends. Like, you prove that you are a stalwart, dutiful warrior of the Imperium, but you didn't get fried by warp magic, so obviously you're tainted by chaos. We gotta ship you away. And he literally all but says, "Son, I am disappointed," and then fucks off. Like,
in my head, it'd be very funny if the start of Space Marine 2 is him getting out of prison, and they, like, give him back his power armor.
All but.
And he's just like, I did my time, it was hard, but I proved I'm not chaos corrupted. And then immediately the planet is swarmed. It's Tyranids in this one,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Just swarmed by Tyranids.
Great pick, man. I was watching Austin play. Oh, man, watching the Tyranids just swarm over you, and then you're just a Giga Chad Space Marine ripping through them like it's nothing. And then the Tyranid warriors show up, and they're like your size, and they're like, "Ah!" And they shoot you with like fucking green lasers. It's so good, dude.
Dude, have you seen the stuff for the new Doom?
No. There's another Doom coming out?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
And it's set in medieval times.
No way!
But you have, like, a shield that Captain America's out, but it's also a chainsaw.
Fuck yeah!
And that's the GIF you might have seen online of the gun that grinds skulls into shrapnel and just sprays that out.
Nani?
Yeah. He has a gun that's just like a massive, like, box that you just throw skulls into, and it's like a grinder, and it grinds up the skulls, and it just shotgun blasts bone shards out.
That is the most metal thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I watched like a TikTok ad of just that, and I was like, oh my god, because they fucked up the last Doom kind of.
They did? Doom Eternal or the
So 2016 was
2016? No, there was the 2016 Doom, and then they did Doom Eternal afterwards.
Yeah, I think Doom Eternal is the one people think they fucked up.
Okay.
I don't have a dog in that race.
I like the other one.
But I definitely am like stoked to see this one.
Yeah, no, that sounds fucking phenomenal, man. That
Yeah.
sounds excellent.
I mean, maybe they saw just like, people lost their shit over Bolt Gun, which is just like a parody Doom almost, but it was fucking. I didn't play all of it yet, but what I did play was pretty fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. No, I like the concept of Doom. I played 2016 Doom. I didn't beat it, but like I enjoyed it while I played it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like horror games that much. I get spooked easy, and I know that game is literally rip and tear. That's the opposite response I should have. But there are still a few jump scares and stuff, and I didn't like it.
So
I platinumed.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of your
Hard.
your methods, ways. So many years ago, pretty much the situation was always Tony would play a game, I comment, and if he gets stuck, I'll Google it because he's too proud to Google.
Yeah, I love that system, man. I miss it fondly.
It's a lot of fun. It's good chilling time. However, playing Dead Space,
Oh man.
every jump scare, and you'll recognize that game as being mostly jump scare. Every single one was genuinely Tony fighting for his life.
Dude, I'm one of those people that's wired or like, if I can't punch the thing scaring me, then I get even more scared. Like, if I can't just punch the TV so that the thing is not bothering me anymore, then I am in terror. It's not good.
Which brings me to both evidently Rob's opinion and this other guy, most people on the internet, I guess, their opinion is if you have a gun, it's not scary anymore, right?
Yeah, dude, Rob is such a Chad, man. I fucking
So
he put me in my fucking place playing Dead Space.
I don't know what game it was. I saw it on friggin' TikTok because I'm a loser. I don't play video games. I only see individual scenes from them. But one of these horror games, it looked like maybe an indie one because it was, it was low poly and shit because,
Yeah.
they didn't have slaves to make it. But horror game, and the guy finally, he gets around the corner and there's a gun on a pedestal, like a shotgun. And you just can hear the guy over the mic going, oh, the game's changed. And as your character picks it up, the music changes from horror to like doom.
Yes!
Like the guitar riff.
Dun, dun,
And you go through like a thing where you're like,
dun,
you're looking through. I'm doing physical business right now. You can't see, but like you're observing the gun and you're like, yes. And then you cock it. And then as soon as you do that, a little bang flag comes out and the horror music comes back.
Oh, no.
It's fake. Oh, no.
They got his ass. Damn, bro, that's mean. Yeah, no, I can't do horror games. I can't do jump scares.
Yeah. It activates him way too fast.
Yeah, it's not good. But speaking fondly of my man being the operator while I'm the fucking pilot of the video games. This is kind of, we should honestly do this in a separate episode, but we're going to touch on it a little bit here. Chrono Cross.
Oh, man.
I would not have been able to beat Chrono Cross because I'm a stubborn bastard and don't like to look things up.
Right.
If Kevin wasn't literally on his laptop fervently looking things up, because that's how involved the game was. Like, we were both so into it that as I'm doing the dungeons, he's basically like guiding me through. Like, it's like I'm Solid Snake and he's fucking Otakon. Like,
Chrono Cross is the level of complicated that when people talk about like, oh, this is a really good video game, that's what I'm expecting. It's not fair for me to do that because that's not what every game should be, but good God, is Chrono Cross involved.
That's what I mean, dude. Like especially the JRPGs, like,
Yeah.
I expect a degree of, like, complexity and, like, involvedness that, like, the average American can't stomach, let alone accomplish. Like Digimon World 2. Digimon World 2 is not meant for children.
Oh
I will
my
hear
God.
no other argument. My playthrough was probably 400 hours.
Yeah.
To just beat the game. Not like go to the end fucking Tower of God or whatever the fuck it's called.
So-
just beating the fucking game.
One of the big things about this game is it was like one of the last games to come out for the PlayStation 1.
Yep, 2000.
And but it realistically the PlayStation 1 wasn't able to play it. It literally playing the game would destroy your PlayStation 1 originally.
It'd fucking brick it, dude. It'd melt.
It would melt it. It would overheat. It simply could not handle it. So what they did was, between every like attack animation, they put a randomized timer that could be as low as 3 seconds or as high as I think like 15.
15.
Because we timed it. And it's a randomized timer. There's nothing you can do to change it. It's not a loading screen. And it's just like, they'll just be like, okay, you click the button to like, okay, use like pepper breath or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would just like go, pew! And then the guy's just like,
doing his idle animation for like a solid 8, 10, oh god, 13,
shut up! Bam! And now the animation gets to happen.
Dude, it was so painful. It was so painful. So any of you modders out there listening, if you can like take that game and remove that timer and make it into a ROM, you're probably the best person who ever fucking lived. Save the youth from
If you're able to do that,
not that I can do in piracy. You can do that legally. Do it. Like,
it's ugh. Oh
yeah, because that added so much more time to that game than needed to be. Like
it added so much more time that we didn't finish it for like 20 years.
Yeah, we tried as little boys, but like I said, that game was not meant for children. Especially
an American child has no chance.
Not even close, man.
Even the Japanese children require hundreds of hours.
The in-game clock capped out at like 199. And I'm pretty sure I played about twice as long as when that happened.
Yeah.
So I think my playthrough was 400 fucking hours just to beat it. Not to like get all the cool stuff, just to beat the last boss with 400 fucking hours.
Yeah.
Because also bugs.
Oh god,
the
damn.
Fucking
There's
bugs.
random traps in the dungeons. Well, they're not random. They're like each dungeon can have certain traps in them, and it's
But it's procedurally generated.
But it's procedurally generated, and you're put in a random part of the labyrinth every time you go.
And the exit is also procedurally generated.
So there could be any number of traps between you and there. What kind of traps are there, Tony?
So there is the they're called bugs, or rather there are lightning traps that like will zap you and basically a giant pillar of lightning that you can't pass, but you can use an item to destroy it.
Yeah.
I
forgot about those actual traps.
There are the block traps, which are similar to the lightning traps. They don't do any damage to you. They're just a block and they're never hidden. You can just see it.
Yeah.
And you can use an item to destroy it. Now, there are these invisible traps on the ground, like kind of like pitfalls, called bugs. And when you stand on it, the visual of it is a big black circle. If you're able to see it, one of the upgrades for your machine is to be able to see these things.
You don't get it for a long time.
Or you have to pay. You have to pay for it, and then it's really expensive to upgrade it. So like you can progress with the game without upgrading any of this shit, but then you will quickly be punished for doing so. So the little pitfall trap is called a bug, and there are several kinds of bugs. And basically, it attaches itself to your Digibeetle. You're like piloting a little tank around the digital world. Mm-hmm. It attaches itself to your Digibeetle, and then does an effect every time you move on a square until it leaves, which could be anywhere between 2 to maybe 15 squares.
Yeah.
There is the money beetle that just siphons a little bit of your money. Oh no, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, you get money from wild encounters.
You're
just swimming in money.
Yeah, and then you can sell these shit items that you don't want. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a non-starter issue.
They also had item beetles.
There was an item beetle.
Yeah,
that would send your items back to the base. So when you go into a dungeon, you're in a little robot, and you bring with you 6 Digimon, up to 6 Digimon. 3 in your team, and then 3 in the backup. In reserve. You can swap them out between battles. It's kind of like Pokemon, but it's 3v3 battles. Or sometimes the boss is just one guy, but usually all the shit at a certain point, it's all 3v3s.
Yeah.
And you queue up your attacks, and then based on the unit speed, they fight, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Basic Pokemon style, I would describe that system.
But Pokemon, but with 3v3s. And there was also the bane of my goddamn existence.
Yeah, this is the good one.
The return bug. So, real quick, the memory bug was kin to the return bug. The memory bug would fill up one of the slots in your Digimon team if it was empty. But if you bring 6 Digimon, it can't do anything. It literally fucks off. That's probably my favorite bug because it didn't do anything at a certain point.
Yeah.
Its evil, atrocious, demonic cousin, the return bug, would send a random Digimon in your party back to base.
Yep.
And there is no way to pull them back out. You can't access the boss.
You have to leave the fucking the dungeon entirely to try the whole dungeon again.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do. You have to leave and go back and start over. Get fucked.
The only thing that it won't do is it won't send all your guys back. It'll always leave you with at least one. It could only take one away, and then it'll fuck off. It could.
I never saw it take only one. It always sent back 2 to 3.
Yeah.
It was always like, okay, and it was random, so it was almost never the motherfuckers in my reserve. It was always the guys I fucking needed, my sweepers. Because we had Red, we had Fluffy,
yep,
and we had, oh man, who was the last one?
Let's see. Fluffy was a Magnadramon. Red was a Rosemon.
Oh man, I'm drawing blanks. Oh, I feel bad because I like them.
Did you have a Phoenix? No, you didn't have Phoenix.
Oh my god, who did I? Oh god, we had Piedmon. Rumble was the first.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Rumble. How can I forget about Rumble?
Yeah, how could I forget? Okay, so this is a self burn. This is a self burn. I'm sorry, Mario. You don't know shit about Digimon, do you? Okay, yeah. Sorry.
He's wearing a Pokemon shirt and everything.
Yeah,
he's wearing his colors.
The enemy camp. No, so when I first made the commitment to beat this fucking game that has haunted us for 20 years.
Yeah.
I remember telling Kevin Cockley, like, I like all the starters because one of the things you do is you pick a starter. You pick a team to be with. There's Black Sword, there's Blue Falcon, and I think Gold Eagle.
Yeah.
And they are each one of the 3 Digimon types. So, can you explain the vaccine data and virus for us?
Yeah, so basically in the setting of Digimon, they're not programs, they are... The digital world is a parallel universe which interacts with our universe through the medium of what we call coding is what they would call the laws of physics. So they get interfered with by us having programs and stuff that intersect with their dimension. That's a bunch of lore shit. Basically, there's viruses which are literally similar to viruses on your computer. There's data Digimon, which are just like dudes who just are raw dog data. There's nothing special about them. It's like, I was born from a Excel spreadsheet.
And to my understanding, all Digimon were data Digimon until humans got the internet.
Yes.
Like, until we started making computers.
Until we started invading their dimension on accident.
It created viruses and then forced them to create vaccines.
Yes. And vaccines are the Digimon that have literally, like, evolved into the niche of holding the balance between virus and data. They don't actually any one of these groups want to get rid of any of the other ones because that would fuck everything up, because we changed their reality. It'd be like they added a new, like, it's like if we in 2024 discovered a new race, and that race of, like, people, like, there were now purple people, and they're like 60% of this country suddenly overnight. Well, we can't, like, say, like, get rid of all the purples. Well, no, that's reality changed. We just had purple people always now.
And to my understanding, all the vaccines basically are like fight guys.
Yeah.
Like they're
they're based off like antivirus stuff, so they're always like they're looking to scrap and rumble.
Yeah, so they're basically like the incorrigible Vikings to the north. They're not raiding you.
Yeah.
But they're raiders, and that's not a good look when you're just like an elephant. You're just hanging out, being an animal basically.
Yeah.
All the data are usually based off of like animals or pretty chill dudes. And
a
then
lot
vaccines are like fucking actual Gundams and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy.
The three, like, end game designs that people joke about is that you can be an angel. That's one of the big ones.
Yep. My favorites.
You can be a like, actual Satan from outer space. Those are sort of one and the same. So let's keep them as one. Angel or demon. You could be a dragon. Dragons they go crazy. There's hundreds of these dragon Digimon.
And like wyvern, dragon, drake, all the various types of dragonoids, you can be that in Digimon.
And the last one is a Gundam wearing Final Fantasy clothes.
Yep.
Those are the three big kinds of things that you can be.
And most of those are viruses, ironically. Like,
yeah. Just
like in BDSM, like bells and belts.
Beelzemon's one of my favorite ones.
Dude, so
and
fucking cool.
He is the pinnacle of that.
He's so fucking cool.
He's so sick. He has a motorcycle and 2 shotguns. There's a lot more guns in Digimon than Pokemon could ever hope to have.
Ever. But so these are the 3 types of Digimon. And so in Digimon World 2, you pick your starter, kind of like you do in Pokemon, but you join one of these teams.
Virus, data, vaccine.
Yeah, and so for vaccine, you got the eponymous Agumon, the yellow lizard boy, who was the main character's Digimon type.
Yes.
And then for virus, you get Devimon.
Yeah.
Who was a cute little boy, and he's the little baby the rookie version of Devimon. Yeah. He's like a little round head with bat wings and like a cat face. He's adorable. I love him. I love him to death. And I was telling Kevin,
if he were an animal, he'd be prey, though.
Yeah, probably.
There's no chance.
Yeah, he's just a dirt boy. And I was telling Kevin when I started on my Digimon World 2 playthrough, I was like, yeah, I definitely picked one of those two because only a cock would pick Data.
Because Data gives you
Patamon.
The potato.
He's a potato with bat wing ears.
Yeah.
And he flies around. And for some reason, he turns into an angel.
Yep.
I don't understand why potato equals angel, but, Digimon's kind of weird. Digivolving's not the same as evolving, so...
It is not.
So, some concessions are made, I guess. And come to find out, the playthrough that I was currently on, that was a little farther ahead, and I didn't feel like doing the starter shit again.
Yeah. You were only barely into the game.
So, I picked Data. So I cucked myself, apparently. Past Tony had cucked present Tony, and I looked like a real jackass in that moment.
Yep, but that was our boy Rumble, wasn't it?
But yeah, I know I had some other Digimon that I liked, and that's why I think I had a Devimon with me. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. Or I had some other Digimon, maybe not, because I didn't have any viruses in my... Well, Paimon's a virus, right?
Paimon's virus. Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I had a Devimon already, and I was like, oh, so I already am far enough in the game to have gotten the toys. Because the catch new Digimon, you basically shoot them in the dungeon with the toys that they like, and then whichever one you defeat last in their party will try to join your party.
Yeah.
And so I already had a Devimon, which as a data player would be hard to get. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to commit to this playthrough because I already have the guy that I want.
Yeah.
And so in order to make your guys stronger, you defeat foes in combat and you get EXP. However, your first Digimon you get caps at level 11. So once you hit level 10, you can Digivolve into the next tier, right? And you can go from rookie to champion, champion to ultimate, ultimate to mega.
Yeah.
With mega requiring level 40. So your max level is level 11. Well, Tony, that's not 40. How do you get to Omega Digimon? Well, don't you know? You have to DNA Digivolve 2 Digimon together, and then the highest of their levels will be added to... No, I'm sorry. The lowest... So of the 2 Digimon that DNA Digivolve...
Let's say you have a level 11 and a level 10 that you're putting together.
The level 10s, I think it's a third of their level will be added to the higher Digimon's max level when they go back to level 1 as a rookie. So
it starts off kind of shitty where you have to do it a bunch of times just to get from like 11 to 15.
Yeah, so you do it. You do one DNA Digivolve, and then I think your cap is now 14. And then if you do it again, you can go up to like 17.
Yeah.
And if you do it again, so on and so forth. But it depends on the max level of the Digimon that you're doing.
So are they merging, or are you just sacrificing Digimon?
You're sacrificing them. I mean, in
the lore, they're merging, but in reality, they both go into a blender, and a new Digimon comes out that you get to play with.
And there's a mechanic called DP, ironically named.
Yeah.
Digivol points. Yours was that in the gutter. Mine is also, so don't worry about it. But Digivol points... each time you get a Digivolve, the new Digimon will have a Digivol point. And basically what that does is when they evolve, their tree is based off of how much of that unit they have. So at like 3 and 4, instead of going to whatever champion they previously
For example, Agumon will turn into Tyrannomon typically, or if you get him to DP 3 or 4, he'll turn into Greymon, which is the good one.
Yes, or vice versa. But yeah, the big one that I was crunk about, and this is what we ended up doing with Rumble, because Rumble was able to turn into a Vmon. Vmon turns into Vidramon, which apparently was supposed to be his original form. And I never knew this because I watched...
I could go into a whole fucking lore dump about that.
Yeah, I know you could, but we're strapped for time. But but Vmon's whole thing is he turned into Vidramon. And if those of you who are familiar with the Digimon cartoon, season 2... he turns into Flame Dramon. He has like that sick nasty red armor. He uses like the little Digivolve egg to do it. So he's a different thing that we're familiar with.
It's because he's using armor Digivolution and the...
Exactly. Yeah. Kevin is a complete nerd.
I'm fucking dork, man. It's bad.
It's great. Digimon is his shit. So I respect the fuck out of that. But so at DP 3 or 4, Vmon turns into Flame Dramon. And he looks so fucking sick. And he's so fucking strong.
That was probably the highest res, like...
They went all out on it.
They really... That was the one that they spent all the money on.
100%. They had one guy dedicated to that alone.
Yeah.
Clearly. But yeah, so that was what Rumble ended up becoming. And by the end of my playthrough... so you can imagine, right? You can imagine that to go from level, 11 to 14 to 17... Granted, like, if you have the second guy also be a high level, it's like a third of their level, so a level 15's giving you 5 levels. That's not bad, you know? Or the formula might be worse than that. I think the formula is worse than that.
I'm sure it is because it was punishing.
I only ever got 3 to 4 levels tops at the end of the game. Yeah. So to get to 40, that means you have to do this process at least 10 times, my beautiful listeners. And by all of your Digimon that you want to be level 40.
And by the way, every different combination, so you can't just put any two together. Sometimes the one that comes out afterwards will be completely fucking different, and it won't be the guy you wanted.
Yeah, so you have to catch Digimon that you know are going to turn into the rookie that you want, so you can get the Digimon that you keep wanting. And that's why it took me 400 fucking hours, because I wasn't just doing it willy-nilly. I wanted my team. And my team ended up being Fluffy, the Magnadramon.
Yes.
Who... I love that Digimon so goddamn much. They're a fluffy dragon. They're a fluffy dragon with derpy eyes.
The Magnadramon line is also the perfect show of what is Digimon. And it's okay, so you got an egg. And that egg hatches into a football with cat ears and a tail. Okay? And then that cat turns into a very small dog. All right?
Yeah, it does.
And then that very small dog, it turns into a cat that's very slightly bigger. So much so that people think that it's actually where the dog should be along the lines. People don't even remember the dog, but the dog's there.
And it comes with gloves.
She comes with gloves, and depending on if she's extra special magic or not, they get a golden ring on their tail. Ooh. Anyway, that cat turns into a stripper.
Yeah. Angelomon's problem.
Angelomon is
it's hilarious.
It's bold.
I think it's cute. My deck, I have like a one Digimon deck that I bought cards for because I'm a nerd. I have 2 Angelomons. I like the design.
Yeah. And so from there, she can turn into...
You do? Surprising.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Come on.
God damn it. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Anyway, from there, that random hot woman can turn into either an armored hot woman, Ophanimon,
lame,
which is lame and no one accepts her.
Uninspired.
Yep.
Uncommitted.
Or she can turn into the dragon from Neverending Story if she was a girl.
Yeah! Fucking Falcor.
Lady Falcor is so fucking great. Magnadramon is great. I love her design.
And so, yeah, I had... Most of my playthrough was a Gatomon and that stripper until I finally got my fucking fluffy dragon. And, no regrets, man. I love that thing. It looks so cool. It looks so derpy. Even Justin there was speaking out about Fluffy. He was like, dude, look at that derpy fucking noodle. And I was like, yeah, man. I'm so fucking happy. Because it's a PS1 game, so they didn't do them that well.
Yeah, no, very blocky. The mouth was sort of a lot.
They were very derpy. A very derpy dragon. And then we got Rumble up into... we ended up having Rumble switch between... Because we wanted... I wasn't sure who my third person was going to be. No. We figured that out pretty handily.
We figured out Rumble pretty early. We wanted him to be a Piedmon.
Yeah.
It was Red that we didn't know what we wanted them to be because they were an Elecmon, I think.
Yeah.
Because they were
That's
red.
the thing. I fused Rumble with the Devimon I got. I had that was always the plan. Remember? Because I caught the Gatomon, or I caught some fucking vaccine that ended up becoming the Gatomon. I was like, okay, well, I want Magnadramon. Mm-hmm. So this Fluffy's just getting all the love.
Yeah.
And then I had Rumble, and I didn't know what I wanted. We wanted to figure out. We know we wanted Piedmon in my team. Mm. We didn't know who we wanted the third person to be. So I originally thought I was gonna have Rumble go all the way through data, but there were no max level data guys that I actually gave a shit about.
Yeah.
So eventually that Devimon, I forgot what his name was. It might have been Vemin, because that was still my game tag back then.
Yeah.
And I ended up fusing him with Rumble, and Rumble ended up becoming a virus. And then that's how we ended up getting the Piedmon. That's why Rumble was a Piedmon.
And then Red was an Elecmon, and we thought briefly that we would turn him into an Imperial Dramon.
Yeah.
But
that was the goal.
That turned out to be one of the harder ones to do.
Yeah, it was DP11 or some shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fucking good, man. Because when I got Red, my most Digimon I had were already level 20 or whatever, so I was getting plus 5 levels each day to Digivolve, so the pacing was a lot faster at that point. But, yeah.
Rosemon's also a pretty good example of how Digimon works.
Yeah, let's go through it. Yeah.
So you have a little potato with a flower on its head that came out of your egg, and then that turns into a gross plant humanoid Geiger monster with a flower on its head.
Yeah, it's not
She's
good.
very cute, turns out, but no, it's covered in veins for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think Palmon is cute.
Palmon's a problem. But then she turns into a boxing cactus.
Don't you know?
Right, okay. So then the boxing cactus turns into a hot girl with a big old gun.
Yeah, don't you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a flower head and a big old gun. And then she turns into, I want to say, this is who Bayonetta is in her heart of hearts.
But rose-themed.
Yeah, a rose-themed Bayonetta.
Yeah.
She's just hot as hell, but also covered in murder bits. And,
has a rose whip coming out of the wrist.
Oh, yeah. That also turns into a rose sword.
Pretty sick nasty.
It was pretty sick nasty.
But basically also a stripper.
Yeah.
The same way that Angelomon is a stripper. A lot of stripper Digimon going around.
There are a lot of stripper Digimon.
Yeah, my party had 2 different stripper Digimons. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
Don't judge me.
I would also qualify Leomon as a stripper Digimon.
Yeah, no, he's the man stripper Digimon.
Yeah.
He's just a shirtless dude with fucking gloves.
And a giant lion head.
Yeah.
And sometimes a knife.
And he doesn't he do the Hadoken?
Yeah.
And then Ogremon, his rival, does the evil Hadoken.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I like Ogremon a lot.
And with that, we are going to end this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Do you guys have anything going on?
I do have some stuff going on, but I would actually prefer to discuss it in a later episode.
Oh. And Mario, you're just going to be playing Sekiro?
Yep. beat Radon.
Beat Radon, so you decide to move to the next logical game.
And I was like,
Sekiro.
Let's play the FromSoft game decided I was terrible at.
And then you'll have the sweep, right? You'll have the whole thing under your belt, besides the Armor Core.
I still need to play through Demon Souls.
Oh, okay.
If the remake counts to any hardcore fuckers, whatever. But yeah, I have that, and I haven't played through it yet. It's weird and unrefined, but it's still good. I understand. I just haven't gotten around to it.
And with that, y'all have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.